Deep beneath the red earth of Ouagadougou, in a reinforced concrete bunker that did not exist 2 years ago, the air is cold and smells of ozone and fresh coffee. This is the nerve center of the new Burkina Faso. On the wall, a massive digital map of West Africa glows in the darkness. For decades, this map was a lie. It showed borders on the ground, but in the sky there were no borders. The airspace above the Sahel was a lawless highway, a playground for foreign powers. French Mirage jets roared over mud-brick villages whenever they pleased. American Reaper drones circled silently at 30,000 feet, collecting data, watching every movement, acting as the uninvited gods of the sky. They asked for no permission, and they gave no explanations. The sovereignty of the nation ended at the treetops. But tonight, the map has changed. A thick, glowing red line now traces the exact contours of the national border, extending vertically into the stratosphere. This is the digital perimeter. Inside the bunker, a young Burkinabe officer trained in Moscow and Ankara sits hunched over a radar console. His eyes are locked on a blip that is approaching from the south, an unidentified aircraft flying fast and low, trying to slip under the radar net. In the old days, he would have been helpless. He would have had to pick up a phone and call the French embassy to beg for information. But today, he does not reach for the phone. He reaches for a switch. He speaks into his headset with a voice devoid of fear, stating target tracked, fire control solution, locked batteries active. This is the dawn of the Sky Shield. While the cameras of the world were fixated on the tanks rolling to the southern border to deter ground aggression, Captain Ibrahim Traoré was quietly executing the most sophisticated, the most expensive, and the most dangerous component of his military revolution. He has locked down the airspace. In a move that fundamentally alters the strategic balance of the entire African continent, Burkina Faso has activated a multi-layered radar-guided air defense grid capable of detecting and destroying targets hundreds of kilometers away. The message sent to Paris, to Washington, and to the hostile capitals of ECOWAS is explicit, brutal, and non-negotiable. Do not enter. The era of the open window is closed. The shutters have been brought down, and they are made of titanium and high explosives. To understand why this sky shield exists, we must first understand the ghost that haunts every military commander in the Sahel, the ghost of Libya. In 2011, the most prosperous nation in Africa was dismantled, not by a ground invasion, but from the air. The NATO no-fly zone was the instrument of its destruction. African generals watched in horror as foreign jets dismantled the Libyan army piece by piece, striking convoys, command centers, and supply depots with total impunity. The defenders on the ground could fight like lions, but they were helpless against the eagles in the sky. Captain Traoré, a student of military history, knows this lesson in his bones. He knows that his T-90 tanks, his rapid intervention battalions, and his VDP militias are vulnerable without air cover. He knows that if the current tensions with the Ivory Coast or France were to escalate into a shooting war, the enemy's first move would not be to send soldiers across the river. It would be to send missiles from the clouds. They would try to blind the Burkinabe army, destroy its logistics, and decapitate its leadership before a single boot touched the ground. For Traoré, the lack of air defense was an existential vulnerability. It was a hole in the roof of the house while a storm was gathering. The Western powers refused to sell anti-aircraft missiles to Burkina Faso, citing hypocritical fears that they might be used against peacekeeping partners, a euphemism for their own jets. So Traoré did what he always does. He broke the rules. He pivoted east. In secret cargo flights arriving in the dead of night over the last 6 months, the components of the shield arrived. Now they are assembled. Now they are live. And the trauma of Libya will not be repeated in Burkina Faso. What exactly has been deployed is a question that is keeping military attachés awake at night. Intelligence reports and satellite imagery confirm a significant upgrade in capabilities. We are not talking about soldiers with shoulder-fired rockets standing on pickup trucks anymore. We are talking about state-of-the-art integrated air defense systems. At the heart of the network are the long-range surveillance radars, likely of Chinese origin, capable of seeing deep into the territory of neighboring countries. These radars can track hundreds of targets simultaneously, differentiating between a commercial airliner, a fighter jet, and a cruise missile. They act as the eyes of the system, stripping away the element of surprise that the West has relied on for so long. Protecting these eyes are the fists, the medium-range missile batteries. Analysts suspect the deployment of systems similar to the Russian Pantsir S-1 or components of the formidable S-300 family. These are mobile beasts. They can shoot down aircraft at high altitudes and intercept precision-guided munitions. They are linked together by a secure encrypted data network that allows a battery in the north to fire at a target tracked by a radar in the south. This technology creates what military strategists call an anti-access area denial bubble. It means that any foreign pilot entering Burkinabe airspace is immediately painted by a fire control radar. In the cockpit, this triggers a terrifying sound, the lock-on warning. It tells the pilot that a computer has calculated his speed, his altitude, and his trajectory, and is seconds away from launching a missile that travels at Mach 4. It turns the sky from a sanctuary into a death trap. The activation of the Sky Shield was not just a ceremonial event, it was precipitated by a specific dangerous encounter. Sources close to the military high command have leaked details of an incident that occurred just 48 hours ago, an incident that was hushed up by Western media but celebrated in the barracks of Ouagadougou. Shortly after the Burkinabe tanks deployed to the southern border, a formation of two unidentified fighter jets believed to be French, made Mirage 2000s operating from a coastal airbase approached the Burkinabe frontier. In the past, this was a standard intimidation tactic, a show of force. They would fly fast and low, breaking the sound barrier to create a sonic boom that would shatter windows and terrify the population. They expected the Burkinabe radar screens to be blank. They expected submission. But this time, as they crossed the line, the unexpected happened. The Burkinabe Sky Shield woke up. The radar operators in the bunker did not flinch. They illuminated the targets. Immediately, the radio channels crackled with a warning broadcast in English and French on the emergency guard frequency stating unidentified aircraft. This is Burkina Faso Air Defense Command. You have violated a military exclusion zone. You are being tracked by fire control radar. Turn back immediately heading 180 or you will be engaged. I repeat, turn back or be shot down. For a few tense seconds, the jets continued. Perhaps they thought it was a bluff. Then the radar operators switched from track mode to lock mode. The electronic warfare suites on the Mirage jets would have screamed the danger. The pilots looked at their displays and saw the red ring of death. They realized that this was not a drill. There was a real missile with a real warhead looking right at them. The formation broke hard to the right, dumping flares in panic, and fled back south toward the coast. No shot was fired, no blood was spilled, but the victory was absolute. The bluff had been called, and the masters of the sky had blinked. The implications of this lockdown go far beyond the threat of shooting down planes. The real strategic value of the Sky Shield is the intelligence blackout. For a decade, the greatest weapon the West had in the Sahel was not the bomb, but the camera. French and American drones acted as the all-seeing eye. They mapped the terrain. They tracked the movements of the Burkinabe army. They monitored the phone signals of the leadership. This intelligence was often weaponized. There are long-standing accusations that foreign powers used this data not just to fight terrorists, but to manipulate the battlefield, tipping off certain groups, monitoring coup plots, or simply keeping the local government weak and dependent. If you want to know what is happening in your own country, they would say you have to ask us. Traoré has cut the feed. By denying the airspace to surveillance drones, he has blinded the foreign intelligence agencies. They can no longer watch the troop movements in real time. They can no longer track the presidential convoy from space to plan an assassination. They are operating in the dark. Even more critically, this blinds the terrorist groups. It is an open secret in the region that the jihadists often benefited from the fog of war created by conflicting foreign operations. Now, without the canopy of foreign surveillance confusing the picture, the Burkinabe military has a clear picture of the battlefield. The airspace now belongs solely to the AES drones, the TB2s, and Akinchis, which are hunting the enemy without interference. The hunter has become the sole owner of the hunting grounds. A sky shield in Burkina Faso is dangerous, but a sky shield that covers the entire Sahel is a nightmare for NATO planners. And that is exactly what is being built. This deployment is not an isolated act. It is part of the integrated defense architecture of the Alliance of Sahel states. We are witnessing the birth of the Iron Dome of the Sahel. Intelligence sharing protocols have been activated between Bamako-Niamey and Ouagadougou. A radar station in western Niger can now detect a threat approaching from Benin and relay that data instantly to a missile battery in eastern Burkina Faso. This triangulation creates a seamless web of coverage that spans thousands of kilometers. This integration serves as a force multiplier. It means that France cannot simply fly around Burkina Faso to get to Mali. The entire bloc is sealed. It raises the cost of any potential military intervention to a prohibitive level. If ECOWAS or France wanted to launch an air campaign today, they would not be facing a ragtag militia. They would be facing a sophisticated, layered, multinational air defense network. They would need to launch a massive suppression of enemy air defenses campaign involving hundreds of sorties and inevitably losing aircraft. Shy in the current global climate with resources stretched thin in Ukraine and the Middle East, no Western power has the stomach for such a fight. Traoré knows this. He has checkmated them with geometry and physics. But missiles are expensive. You do not fire $1 million missile at a $1,000 drone. That is why the Sky Shield also includes a silent, invisible component known as electronic warfare. Along with the radar trucks, strange vehicles with forests of antennas have been spotted moving to the strategic heights. These are the jammers. They are the soft kill weapons. They blast the electromagnetic spectrum with noise drowning out the GPS signals that guide modern drones and precision bombs. If a hostile drone tries to enter the zone, it suddenly loses its connection to the satellite. It becomes confused. It drifts off course or crashes into the desert. This capability is crucial for dealing with the new threat of swarm drones and loitering munitions. By dominating the spectrum, Traoré ensures that his enemies are not just blind, but deaf and dumb as well. It disrupts their communications jams, their triggers, and turns their high-tech toys into useless plastic. It is a reminder that modern sovereignty is defined by who controls the frequencies, not just the territory. The most profound impact of the Sky Shield, however, is not on the enemy, but on the people of Burkina Faso. For a generation, the sky was a source of fear. A peasant farmer in the north, hearing the whine of a jet engine, would instinctively grab his children and run for cover. He did not know if the plane was French-American or something else. He did not know if it was there to protect him, or if he would become collateral damage in a strike he did not understand. The sky represented vulnerability. It represented the fact that powerful strangers could reach down from the clouds and kill you, and your government could do nothing about it. That psychology is being rewritten today. The state media is broadcasting images of the rotating radar dishes. They are showing the missiles pointing skyward. They are playing the audio of the warnings given to foreign jets. The narrative has shifted. The people look up now, and they do not feel fear, they feel protected. They feel that the sky belongs to them again. Captain Traoré has restored the aerial sovereignty of the nation. It is a powerful component of national pride. It tells the citizen we are not a second-class nation. We are a fortress. We have a roof over our heads, and we hold the keys. This boosts the morale of the population and cements their loyalty to the junta. They see the Sky Shield not just as a military tool, but as a symbol of their dignity being restored. Of course, closing the sky comes with risks. The international community has reacted with predictable outrage. Aviation authorities in the West have issued warnings about the safety of commercial flights. They are trying to paint Burkina Faso as a rogue state endangering civilian travel. Traoré has been careful to counter this narrative. The Sky Shield is integrated with civil aviation protocols. Safe corridors have been established for legitimate commercial traffic. Air France can still land provided they file a flight plan and stick to it. But the message is clear. You fly by our rules or you do not fly at all. There are no more off-the-books flights, no more secret renditions, no more unmanifested cargo. This has caused panic in the diplomatic corridors of Ivory Coast and Ghana. Their entire defense strategy relied on the assumption that they and their Western backers would always have air superiority. That assumption is dead. They now have to calculate the risk of escalation. If they support a proxy force attacking Burkina Faso, and Burkina Faso responds by shooting down a supply plane, are they ready for war? The Sky Shield raises the stakes. It forces the neighbors to treat Burkina Faso with a newfound respect born of fear. The activation of the system also sends a powerful signal to potential investors and strategic partners in the East. It shows that Burkina Faso is serious about protecting its strategic assets, such as its gold mines, its hydroelectric dams, and its growing cities. It provides a security guarantee that allows for long-term development projects to proceed without the fear of aerial sabotage. It is a signal to Russia, to China, and to Turkey that their technology is being put to good use, cementing the alliances that are reshaping the multipolar world. The Sky Shield is the physical manifestation of the pivot away from the West. It is steel and silicon proof that Burkina Faso has found new friends who are willing to sell them the shield that the old friends denied them. As the sun sets over the Sahel painting, the sky in hues of purple and orange, the radar dishes continue their silent rhythmic rotation. Inside the bunkers, the operators drink strong coffee and watch the green sweep of the scanners. They are the new sentinels of the revolution. The back-off warning given by the tanks on the ground has now been extended vertically to 60,000 feet. Burkina Faso has graduated from a territory to a fortress. A state that cannot control who flies over its capital is not a state, it is merely a location. Captain Ibrahim Traoré has turned the location back into a nation. The warning has been issued. The systems are active. The finger is on the button. To the pilots of the French Air Force, to the drone operators of the CIA, and to the generals in Abidjan, the message echoes through the clouds. Turn around. You are no longer the masters here. The sky shield is activated. Enter at your own risk.